It's the season of unfinished business, and I've been having Vietnam flashbacks again. All the way back in July of 23, before the action sports era, before the extensive use of music, before most of you knew I existed, I did 2 videos covering games from a gigantic shovelware pile called the Simple Series. It's been haunting me and taunting me to come back, so it's time for round 3. Prepare your eyeballs and your ear holes, because it's time for 5 Simple Series games. If you're somehow one of the people who subscribed because of those videos and you've stuck around for this long and you've been waiting for this, I'm really sorry. That was way too long to wait for something so silly. For everybody else, nothing I can say is going to prepare you for this, so cheers for being here at all. Let's get started. First up, Simple 2000 Series Volume 6, The Snowboard, alternatively known as Snowboard Racer 2 in Europe. Developed by Atelier Double and published by D3 in 2002 and subsequently by Midas in 2003, funny enough, this game actually got a PS3 re-release in Germany in 2012. Atelier Double is an interesting company that we've run into before, kind of. They're responsible for Disney Sports Skateboarding on the GameCube. I remember that being okay, and that means they've got experience with action sports games, so hopefully it's good. There's no career necessarily. There are a few different modes that you play in order to unlock outfits and courses, but no solid career. The first mode is Speed, which is just get to the bottom in the fastest time. Next is Trick, which is speed maps with a score focus. Then you've got Half Pipe, which is exactly what it sounds like, and then Crash, which I think is where you have to win the race without crashing, or you have to crash 4 times. I'm not really sure, I didn't take the time to read it and figure it out. There are no professional snowboarders, which is to be expected, and there aren't that many characters or maps in general, really, but it's a cheap little budget game, so there's a decent amount of stuff here considering that. And none of it is bad. The gameplay is good, not amazing, but surprisingly good. The speed and crash modes have some controls disabled, which sucks, but the trick and half pipe modes are really fun for a short amount of time. While you're on the ground, you can press the right face button to carve left and right, bottom face to jump, top face lets you push NPC characters or a player too, and the left face is for braking. To spin, you have to hold the left bumper when you're getting ready to jump, and tap a direction when you hop. There's no jump charge or anything, so you can't just hold the jump button down and then hit the bumper and then go up into the air. It's a game more about timing than anything. You can also use the left bumper to do a front flip and back flip. While you're in the air, pressing any of the face buttons will do a trick, and pressing them together plus the right bumper will do different sets of tricks. This isn't a giant variety or anything, but it all functions and looks pretty good. My one problem is that steep slope sliders for the Sega Saturn objectively had better, more advanced, more complex gameplay on the Sega Saturn in the 90s. Like, that had rails, diagonal flips, camera shake, physics that actually felt good to use. It was just so much more advanced, and it came out almost 10 years earlier. At least the tricks all function, and landing is tight. You can combo multiple tricks together for a multiplier, and half-pipe objects do have their own camera to make landing easier, and when you come down on the ground, it actually feels like you landed, because you can't just land sideways. Falling works appropriately. They got falling right, guys. It functions. The best way I can describe this whole thing is as a Cool Borders clone, with a little less leniency and a little more button tap precision. It's alright, I just kind of wish there was more to it. Considering it's a budget shovelware game, I'm just happy that it isn't garbage. But there was room to do a little bit better here. Would I have been in love with this as it is if I got it as a kid? No, probably not, but I definitely would have had fun for a little while, and I had a little bit of fun now with it. The gameplay is solid. Visually, it's a simple series game. Not amazing, so you find the charm where you can. The courses all look good, but it's a snowboarding game, so managing to make things look great and outstanding is extremely not easy, and making them look like shit is extremely easy, so I think it passes. It does what it needs to do at the very, very least. Mostly. I hate the character models. None of the costumes look good, none of the characters look good, and it wouldn't be a simple series game without some unnecessary jiggle physics. Joking aside, the visuals are just the sandbox to play the game. I don't think it needs to be perfect to be fun. It does what it's supposed to do, and it isn't painful on my eyes, so that's a win. Soundtrack is bleh. Short MIDI loops with some action-sounding harmonies that make it sound and feel a little more edgelord extreme. I know they couldn't really afford copyrighted music, so I'll give it a pass for that, but regardless, the composed music could have been a lot better. It's mediocre at best, and kind of annoying before too long. With that done, I'll give Volume 6, The Snowboard, a rating of 5 out of 10. Average as hell, fun for a few minutes, but super repetitive. Nothing memorable, no real personality. But it isn't broken either. I can't really hate it, but this is my least favorite kind of game. I'd rather a game be so bad that it's memorable than so average I'll forget about it later. I can't tell you how many times I've said that on this channel. I still recommend checking it out, at least for a few minutes. But if you do, don't go in expecting SSX or something impressive. Remember that it is a budget game, and you're really only gonna have fun for a couple minutes. Alright, are you ready for this? Next up, Volume 108. The Nihon Takushu Butai Koyaku Hansai Ritu 24G, or as it was known in Europe, Special Forces. Yes, I'm being for real. This game was developed by Vinct et Un Systems, who most recently worked on fucking Resident Evil 4. What the fuck is happening right now? Is this a fever dream? None of the team members from this, as far as I can tell, worked on that. But they did all work on a few other things, so there is some good dev experience here. The story mode here is simple. Some special forces dudes go from place to place taking down bad guys and saving hostages. It's not the most complicated idea in the world, but there is a catch. You have to try to take criminals alive. The objective here isn't to kill everyone and move on, although you can do that. I like this idea because that means there's some strategy beyond just shoot everything that walks. Simple and not bad. The gameplay isn't amazing, but it's interesting for what it is. Before anything else, go to the menu, change your control scheme to Type 2, because Type 1 is garbage. You control your character through a third-person shoulder camera, kind of like Resident Evil 4. There are a couple of weapons, fists, throwables, and you can incapacitate enemies by sneaking up on them from behind. Headshots really matter here. If your center dot is on the head, you'll kill whatever you're aiming at, and you will lose level score. There are two control modes, like I said before, and the first one is really bad. It's tanky for some reason, and there's a strafe buttons, and like it's PS1 style first-person shooter from behind the back, and it doesn't feel good. Control Type 2, regular twin-stick third-person shooter. You can move and shoot and aim at the exact same time, and it feels good. I don't even need to describe it. Everybody knows what a twin-stick shooter feels like, right? There's a stealth element to this whole thing, so the more undetected you remain, the better. Not always an option, but certainly the best option where you can. There are some unlockables, there are loadouts, extra challenges for each map, and pickups to help you out while you're in action. It's decent enough for what it is. Like I said, not amazing, but it's not bad either. The only thing that really hurts the game is the random dispatch calls, but that's really only for the first map and a couple of weird moments, so it's not too invasive. You're not the fastest soldier in the world, so putting yourself in a bad position can most certainly mean death. There's a small delay between holding the fire button and actually firing, meaning you get some time to second guess the shots you take. I actually really like more tactical shooters, so I don't hate this. I think there are good ideas here being executed with an extreme amount of limitation, and I can't hate it for that. I just noticed the limitation and am kind of like, man, I wish they had more time for this. Visually, meh. Like I said earlier, it's a simple series game, so it's not amazing. You just kind of find the charm where you can. It's low budget, and by that standard it looks alright, but compared to most other PS2 games, it's just mid. Most of these games are just mid. Nothing particularly bad, nothing really amazing. The character portraits look interesting in this game, and there's nothing that hurts the eyes to look at or looks too janky, so that's a plus. But there's way too much distance fog, the maps are all really kind of small, and it could be a lot more challenging in the way of how to plan approaching everything, because enemies are kind of put in positions where they're really easy to take down a lot of the time. Could be worse, but could be a lot better. The audio isn't really amazing either, but it is better than the last one. It's just generic. Some bullets, some single-line voice, some patriotic-style action music. The alarm is annoying, but it's supposed to be a punishment for getting seen, so I can understand it. Mediocre is the theme of the whole game here, and that's okay. It is just a budget shovelware game. It didn't really need to be amazing or anything like that, and this one has a lot more effort put into it than a lot of other budget shovelware games I've played, so I'll give it a pass. All in all, I'll go ahead and give Special Forces a rating of 6 out of 10. That extra point really is only for the name alone. I won't remember how to pronounce it, but I'll remember this as one of those games where the English name didn't even bother to translate the Japanese name because the Japanese name was fucking ridiculous. It's not a bad game, it's just not great. It's okay. It's worth playing at least once if you're just really bored and it looks like something you'd be into. Next up, Volume 20, the Dungeon RPG, Shinobi Mamano no Sumu Shiro, or as it was known in Europe, Eternal Quest, developed by Tamsoft and published by D3 in 2002 and Midas in 2004. This is a direct sequel to a game that I talked about in the last Simple Series video. That one was just called the Dungeon RPG. I actually remember enjoying that a little bit, and I thought I would enjoy it more if I could play it in English. So for this one game only, I've broken a rule. I'm playing the Eternal Quest version instead of the Simple Series version. If you are wondering why I wasn't touching translations, it's because it's much more fun for me to try and interpret what's going on in some cases, like with the Teryuji Goku. In this case, I kind of want to know what's happening because the text is really important. The story here is about a hero hero bringing an end to a conflict that he originally had nothing to do with. The actual story mode plays out as kind of a roguelike. You descend floor by floor fighting things to level up, killing monsters and finding items to help you go deeper and deeper, and if you die you go back to the top and you go back down, you do it all again. The game will cycle through different backdrops every time you descend to make the adventure feel more alive, and I'm pretty sure the dungeons are at least procedurally selected by a floating point variable if they aren't just procedurally generated. It's not inherently complicated, but it's a good, fun idea with some room to do good things, and for a budget game it has the most brilliant idea of this whole set. It's infinitely replayable. It's a game that is designed to be replayable. It's not something just made to give you a few minutes of fun for a cheap price. It's something that's made for you to go back to over and over. The gameplay is similar to its predecessor, with some improvements. It's a top-down, grid-based action RPG. There's equipment, items, experience and leveling, stats based on armor and weapons, and the other usual RPG stuff. One improvement over the predecessor is diagonal movement and diagonal combat. That makes it feel much more convenient to navigate, and I don't feel like I'm gonna die because I can't attack multiple things at once. There's an attack button like it's an ARPG, but I feel like the game is running on stat-based dice rolls. You and your enemy almost take turns attacking, defending, and moving, but you can attack more times or less times than your enemy does. Defending also seems to happen on its own based on the defense stat. If you use a health item while you're at full health, you'll gain 1 maximum HP, and you'll also gain HP when you level up. Defense, it makes HP decrease at a lower rate, and better weapons make your attack and speed better. There's a good variety of stuff to mess around with, and the entire point of the game is replayability. I really like this. I think there's something genuinely good here made for a very, very specific audience. It's well polished for a budget game. Visually, I don't like it as much as the predecessor, but it's still good. The first one had a pixel art style that reminded me of playing games like Ys and Highlight. This one has a full 3D thing going on that kind of makes it feel more like its own game, but it also makes it look like a modern indie game more than a commercial game from that time period. The dungeon designs can get a little repetitive after a while, but there's a good variety of enemies to fight, and it does change enough to keep it fresh for at least a while. I'm a little salty that the sprint button is gone, because it would have looked hilarious, but truthfully, it didn't need to be there anyway, and the game is just fine without it, and it probably would have impeded the 3D visuals a lot. The soundtrack is kind of bad. It's a cyberpunk EDM type thing with some Japan noises. So pretty much the Cyberpunk 2077 OST shortened into repetitive loops. Oh, got him! No, but seriously, this game does not have a great variety of music. It does not sound good. The effects are okay, but there aren't many of them, so honestly, this is just the kind of game you play with music of your own going in the background. It's just better that way.
With all that out of the way, I'll go ahead and give the Dungeon RPG 2 a 7 out of 10. I think this and its predecessor are criminally underrated gems from this library. They're not perfect by any means, but there's an audience for this. There's a well-made game here. Both this and the previous game deserve a little bit of respect for being something unique and fun despite being restricted by the budget. If the first game ever gets an English translation from the fans, I will go back and cover both of these games again with more depth, talking about the whole story, deep into the gameplay. I will do all of it. But for now, I don't even need to. I've seen good enough from them to recommend them. If this is the kind of thing that's up your alley, I really do recommend playing it. It's a good time killer. Next up, Volume 72, The Ninkyu, also known as Yakuza Fury, developed by Vingadun Systems and published by D3 in 2005. The producer, Shinya Takaki, has a really long video game career going back to 1998, as far as I can tell. There's some good experience behind this game, and that has me really curious about the quality. I don't know what to expect, I just hope it's good. There's a small cult following for this game, but the people who like it are mostly silent. Only a few pages really go deep into it, and the majority of content is walkthroughs. Before we even get started, no, this game is not a Sega Yakuza ripoff, no matter how similar it seems. It actually came out 1 month before Yakuza dropped in Japan. So what you're about to see is one of the craziest coincidences in human history. The story here is simple, but before I tell you, I don't know who voices this intro narration, but he sounds very serious, and we should probably listen to him.
それはこの町に存在する5つの組を束ねる上位組織である。
Self-referential jokes aside, I actually do understand some of the plot here. You take on the role of a young Yakuza punk, Asuka Q, who has an affection for K1-style kickboxing. In the magical land of Japan, there are a few different crime families vying for control over territory. The story branches out and changes based on your honor, meaning there are multiple pathways and endings here. In total, there are 10 chapters, but you'll only have to work through 5 at any given time. To get the real ending, you have to clear the game at least once, so we aren't going to see that, but I had to mention it because this is actually really complicated for a budget game. We've got a story mode with replay value and New Game Plus the unlockable 2-player arcade mode with all 10 stages, plus the unlockables for the story mode including infinite ammo, weapons, costumes, and other stuff. Call me crazy, but I kind of love this. The gameplay here is hella interesting. This is a 3D beat-em-up RPG, which is something the PS2 library notoriously failed at more than once. You move around the city, fighting bad dudes with a couple of combo attacks and special moves, and at the start of every chapter you get the option to roam around the city, which means stopping in at a shop to change your fit. Wearing different clothes changes your fighting style, and there are a variety of weapons and extras available too. The actual fighting doesn't feel too bad. Hit detection works properly and is actually kind of lenient. Combos register without input delay, and the weapons feel powerful. There are a variety of enemies with different health values and fighting styles, and they can be a challenge, but not all of them. There are no invincibility frames here, but there is a tiny delay between when you get knocked down and when enemies start attacking again, so it's kept fair. Some enemies hit like trucks though. There are some enemies, on the flip side, that do absolutely nothing at all. Like the first boss fight, completely pointless. Bro doesn't have backup, doesn't have specials, doesn't move any faster, and he gets knocked down as soon as the regular goons. It doesn't even feel like a fight. It's more or less just picking on some random dude because we're hot shit Yakuza man Asuka Q. Dishonorable? Maybe. But at least we get to destroy modern fashion in the process.
Visually, this game looks fucking hilarious sometimes. Most of the stages take a realism approach, so they aren't amazing or memorable or anything, but the character designs, dude. Look at Asuka's face. Remember how I said this was the greatest coincidence in human history? Well, Asuka really does look like the Chinese bootleg version of the main character from Sega's Yakuza, for a few minutes until you change clothes. I'm pretty sure the white and red Japanese flag-colored fit is just kind of what movie and game producers think Japanese mob guys look like. Like, if it isn't this, then it's a gruff detective who forgets to shave every day, or a ponytail in a black suit. I'm not in love with it, but the visuals definitely aren't bad. They're thematically fitting for a budget game. The audio design is certainly some audio design. This game sounds exactly like it looks, and that's okay. We've got some pretty basic music loops, some ambiance, a lot of punch and kick sound effects, some gun sounds, and the occasional voice acting. It isn't really the kind of game where the sound design matters too much, but it isn't bad. It's tolerable, none of it hurts, and it's better than a couple of other things we've seen here today. With all that stuff said, I'll go ahead and give Volume 72, the Ninkyu, a 7 out of 10. Perfect? No, absolutely not. It's a little clunky, a little weird, a little basic, it looks fucking hilarious, but it's charming, it's fun for a while, and it's much bigger than some of the other games I've played in this series. I recommend checking it out if it looks like something you'd be into, because it's worth playing at least once. But more than that, I hope I cleared up the misconception, so this game isn't just permanently seen as a bootleg when it really isn't. It's interesting in its own right, and it deserves that credit. Last one, and truthfully, I'm kind of sad. My favorite thing about covering this particular series of games is not knowing what I'm in for. They're all so different and unusual that even when they're bad, I'm still enthralled by the experience. I'm gonna have to do another one of these videos at some point. I'm just stalling now, so Volume 102, The Hohai, Senju no Inutachi, developed by Tamsoft and published by D3 in 2006. This game has no European release, as far as I can tell, so I translated the title for myself. For my fellow English speakers, this game is called The Infantry, Dogs of the Battlefield. Of every Simple Series game I've covered so far, this one has the smallest amount of available information. I couldn't find team info, and there were really only a few videos, so I'm walking into this more blind than usual. The story here is World War II. You take on the role of an infantryman who for some reason is going on solo missions more suited to special forces or something. It's Japan. It's the heat of the war, and a ton of dudes are standing around in a jungle. I'm joking, there's more to each of these missions, but it's pretty straightforward for the most part. Funny enough, this game has the most voice acting I've seen in a Simple Series game yet. There is a good amount of story here. World War II as the subject material makes that easier, I think. The gameplay here is kind of weird. It's an old-school third-person shooter in the style of 007 Tomorrow Never Dies or Siphon Filter. The analog stick walks 360 degrees as a strafe button, you can fire while running, dodge, roll, crouch, and to shoot with precision you have to activate aim mode with the left trigger. There are throwables, health items, stamina items, and melee combat for when you run out of bullets, and bullet management is actually a part of the game. Walking around takes a few minutes to get used to, but it doesn't feel bad. Throwables are interesting. When you hold the left face button, a little throw power meter will pop up, and the idea is to time the bar to match the distance you're trying to hit. It's an interesting way to handle a simple idea. I think the worst part of the game is the enemy AI. Enemies are either dead shot accurate or totally shit, and their placement for the first couple of levels is not great. It does get better. There's real strategy to approaching some of these situations, like the mission blowing the barricades is really good. And there are also some RPG elements. Items are earned when you complete missions or pick them up in the field, and your totals all carry from mission to mission. For each complete, you'll earn EXP toward getting a rank promotion. When that happens, you get to upgrade a few stats to make life easier. The most important of these easily is strength. Strength affects how many kilograms you can carry and how much stamina you lose for moving around. You can run out of stamina at the worst times, so to not get killed, it's a necessity. If you run out of stamina, you slow down to a walk, and your enemies take advantage of that. The kilogram system matters. You can't carry too many items into a mission, or you'll catch yourself running out constantly. I'll admit, it isn't amazing. It feels janky at times, but it's functional and it's kind of fun. It's more fun than Viet Cong Purple Haze or the History Channel Civil War games, and considering that and considering it's a budget game, I think it's pretty passable. Visually, wow, holy shit, this game looks bad. The human models and textures are outright ugly, and the level designs are pretty simple and repetitive, but none of that even matters. When you shoot an enemy in this game, a little blood PNG pops up around them, and it looks just horrible. It's the most out of place thing I've ever seen in a game like this, and I love it. I'm gonna look back on this forever as the game with the worst blood effect ever, and I can't even be mad about that. It's so funny. The sound design is the same as all of the other games. It's really simple, and the compression for sound effects isn't the greatest. I do have to give credit to the voice actors though. They put on a really good performance. The drill sergeant in the opening cutscene tries really hard to capture the hard-ass American soldier man vibe, which is hilarious because it's all spoken in Japanese. It's not bad. With all that out of the way, I'll give Volume 102 a rating of 6 out of 10. Like I said, it's not amazing, but it's certainly not bad either. I think some of the funnier aspects alone are enough to warrant playing it at least once. But the game itself is really good. It's something that I could see myself going back to at some point when it gets retro achievements. The most interesting thing about today's set is that there really were no bad games. They're all budget shovelware titles from a bygone era, and one of them was just mediocre, but I found the charm where I could, like you're supposed to with games like this. They were made in small time frames with small teams, and those teams did good work with the limitations. Considering most of these games launched for an extremely low price, especially compared to what we have today, I have no regrets. I'm happy to have played every single one of these. And now that I'm done with all of that, we have something truly horrific coming next. No joke. Think of the worst video games you have ever played. The next set is worse. I'm not gambling on that either. I'm positive we're about to look at real garbage. I know the Simple Series games aren't my most popular videos, so if you made it this far, then thank you. It's been really amazing coming back to all of the positive reception, and I missed all of the personal stories that you guys have with the games that I cover. Taking time away made me appreciate it all that much more. If you want to support the channel to help me get these videos out faster, a Ko-Fi link is in the description. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it a lot. For now, thank you, and have a nice day.